Hi, so in this video I want to show you 2 short tricks on how to get started to make it even easier. These are tricks that I often use. I consider myself being a very productive person and I don't have a lot of motivation problems, but still also I do know that sometimes my couch is very comfortable or that sometimes I would rather want to do something else but continue working or start working. And I want to show you what I do in order to make it easier. And as you maybe know, a rocket needs almost all the energy for the start. Once it's in the air, then it's easy. When it's in its orbit, it does almost need no more energy. But the starting takes a lot of energy. And it's the same with us people. What does take so much energy? It's just the energy to get into another set of mind. It's also the energy of starting, of having new ideas, of doing something you might not have done before. This is the hard thing. And it's often our subconscious or unconscious that comes in our way because it just doesn't want to do. It's often like a little child, which sometimes doesn't behave the way we want it to behave. And I want to show you what I do. And I want to show you what I do when I'm working at a project. And then afterwards, when I have just miscellaneous things to do. What, of course, often happens. We don't like that, to have all this stuff to do, but still this stuff is there and often this stuff has to be done. So first of all, when I work on a project, like when I say, okay, this whole day or this half day I just want to dedicate to a certain project, then I hopefully have visualized everything before, as I said in the videos before, and found out what my tasks are. And for example, I have 3 different tasks I want to fulfill today. And how much time it takes, it depends on if I have the half day or full day or maybe just 2 hours. But okay, this is what I want to do today. And then I'll maybe decide, a very proper person would decide, for example, first break comes after I fulfilled task 2. And this is, of course, a good way to do it. But it makes it harder to continue afterwards. So one thing that I recommend you to do is that you stop working shortly before you finished task number 2. And what this makes is that you have there's some openness in your system, so you want to get it done. So this makes it easier for you to come back from your break because you really want to get this finished. And it also makes it easier to start off after the break because now you were into it just before you were doing it. You know what you did just some minutes or maybe half an hour before or even an hour or something. So you know exactly where you're in. You're still thinking in terms of that. You don't have to get everything new. And then it's easy to continue. And then you continue and finish task number 2. And as soon as you have finished task number 2, you are in the mode of doing, you are in the mode of acting, and you're still fresh. So it's easy for you to now start off with task number 3. And for example, work as long as you almost have finished task number 3. And this is one advice. I like to finish things. So it's sort of a little mind flip that you do it that way, but it really helps you in getting going and getting into things easier, because you do not need this energy of starting right when you're starting off after a break. And once you're in the mode of doing, it's easier. So that would be like when you dedicate half day or a whole day on working at your project. But often it's not like that. Often you also have lots of different things, this whole stuff to do. And then it's easy, for example, if you have different tasks, that you start off with an easy task number 1. So let's say your task number 2 is the longest and hardest to do of a day or of a half day or whatever time period. And then it's often great if you find a task number 1 which is easy to fulfill and which is kind of fun. It doesn't have to be mere fun. just that it's not that hard for you. And what happens? Because often you get the advice that you should start with the hardest task of a day, and in some concern it's okay. I will talk about it more later. But if you do the hardest thing as first thing when you start off, it might happen that you start off 2 hours later just because you just couldn't get yourself motivated to start working at all. And like, let's picture it again. You sit at the couch, maybe you're watching a movie, or you're having a nice chat with your family or whatever, and you really do not feel in the mood of doing anything else but that the things you're just doing. Thinking of having a really heavy and hard task in front of you yourself doesn't make it easier. But if you have some kind of fun task first, like Googling something or having a conversation, which you need, not just a chat, but a conversation, a telephone call, for example, with somebody where you need some information, but you still like that person, like talking to that person, for example. If you set that first, then it's much easier to get going. Then you feel your muscles like they already start contracting because you want to get going. And then you fulfill task number 1 quite easily. And then you already sit at your desk and you're already in working mode, and it makes it easier to go over and now do your toughest task. Yeah, this is advice from me. This is how I usually do it and how I can trick myself when I'm not really eager to start working. And I hope it does it for you too.